So my presentation today talks about the relationship between entrepreneurship and subjective well-being. This is joint work with my colleague Chiara Peroni, who sits here in the room with us. So it's me that. Okay. So specifically, the research question that we want to address is, do people with higher well-being have higher chances to succeed as entrepreneurs? The background of this is the mixed evidence that we have on the relation between subjective well-being and entrepreneurial involvement. So from the psychology, there are a number of studies that provide evidence on a negative relation between entrepreneurship and well-being. And this is basically due to higher risks, uncertainty, worse life-work balance. More evidence from economics, others suggest, in contrast, a positive relation, a positive association between self-employment so it's a little bit of a different view of entrepreneurship from the one that we adopt. So self-employment is positively associated with well-being. But our starting point really here is this wealth of information that we have from some studies from economics and many studies from organizational psychology that associate higher subjective well-being with positive outcomes for organization, workplace, and individuals working in this organization. Basically, higher well-being is associated with higher engagement, more efforts, better relations with customers and colleagues, less mistakes, and so on. So why not this works also for entrepreneurs? So our contribution here is conducting an empirical analysis on a data set of 20,000 observations on individuals. This data allows us to observe directly the individual's involvement in entrepreneurship, which here we model and we see as a process. Which this will be clearer in the next slide. And what we look at is at the role of subjective well-being, but also of dimensions of subjective well-being, in particular job satisfaction. And we are experimenting with satisfaction with health. And we also try to address reverse causality. Okay, so what is our definition of entrepreneurship? Now, entrepreneurship in this context is the process of business creation, whereby individuals move through different stages of the entrepreneurial ventures. So they are inactive, they are potential entrepreneurs, then they move to the stage of nascent entrepreneurship. So these are those that are starting a business. They are new entrepreneurs, so those that are running a business between 3 months and 3.5 years. Eventually, if they succeed to pass through all these stages, they are established entrepreneurs, those that own or manage a business with of more than 3.5 years of age. The data comes from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. For those of you that are not familiar with GEM, GEM is an international consortium that was created in 1999 to gather data and study entrepreneurship. How do they gather data? The participating countries are running surveys on an annual basis on the working age population, representative surveys of working age population. What we use here is the GEM adult population survey for Luxembourg from 2013 to 2023. This is a survey on resident population. Which is relevant for Luxembourg. Now, in 2013, the Global Consortium included a special module on well-being of entrepreneurs. Then, unfortunately, the module was not reintroduced, but we have kept those questions for Luxembourg. So we have subjective well-being and job satisfaction questions. So what we did to build our data set, we took this repeated cross-section. So this is not a longitudinal data set. We pulled them together and we end up with this cross-section of 20,000 observations. The data, here I give you basically a descriptive of the data on entrepreneurship. This is important because this is basically drives our empirical strategy. What you see here, each bar represents a share of working age population, which is inactive or involved in the various stages of entrepreneurship. So this does not sum to one. The first bar tells me that 78% of the sample is inactive, that is not involved in entrepreneurship. 22% are at the potential stage. So these are people they intend to engage in, to start a firm or more. Or there are other, this also, so this red bar includes the information on potential entrepreneur, on nascent, new, and established entrepreneurs. So the categories are not mutually exclusive, okay? So empirical strategy here, what we want to do is to predict the probability that individuals advance through the various entrepreneurial stage. And to predict this probability and the relation of advancing through these stages, how this probability depends on well-being, we fit a sequence of regression on the various subsample. So on the first, we start, first we start with the full sample and we estimate the probability of picking up a potential entrepreneur. Then we move to the next stage. So we take the people that declare to be at least potential entrepreneurs and we fit the model to estimate the probability and how this probability depends on well-being to pick up an nascent entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur. So the regression model that we use is a logit one. The dependent variable is a binary outcome, whether the individual is at the specific entrepreneurial stage that we are interested in. The main explanatory variable is subjective well-being, which is measured by life satisfaction on a scale from 1 to 5. The controls are individual traits, which are relevant in this specific context, especially attitude to risk, which is called fear of failure, the availability of an entrepreneurial network, and some social demographics such as income, employment, education, age, gender, and immigration, which is the immigration one is quite relevant to Luxembourg. And we wrote another paper on this specific aspect. And then we have years and industry dummies. So just to give you a flavor of the results, here you have the predicted probability of being an entrepreneur based on life satisfaction with no control. So this is just a simple regression. We see a negative relation here between, so here in the x-axis, you have the satisfaction with life. Here you have the predicted, on the y-axis, you have the predicted probability of being a potential entrepreneur. And this has a negative relation with well-being. At the subsequent stages, you see a suggestion of positive relation between being an entrepreneur or passing through the next stage of entrepreneurship and being satisfied with life, except that the confidence intervals are large. So this is the results from the main regression with subjective well-being and the controls, okay? And what you see, a negative association of well-being and entrepreneurship. So in other words, so what you see here, it's significant, negative, and increasing in magnitude coefficients compared to the base category is identifies people with very low levels of well-being. And the controls are all significant with the expected sign. So the next stages, the next regression, basically the effect disappears. So we do not find any significant relation between well-being and entrepreneurship. So what this suggests us is that, well, the more satisfied I am with my life, the least I feel like changing my situation and engaging and becoming an entrepreneur, engaging in entrepreneurship. Then what could be a possible explanation for this? One possible explanation is that there are dimensions of well-being, of subjective well-beings, that exert an opposite effect on the decision to engage in entrepreneurship. So typically one dimension that is associated with lower well-being, as I mentioned before, is that entrepreneurs have a very, they declare to have a very bad work-life balance, or they suffer higher level of stress. So then we run the regressions again. Instead of using subjective well-being, we use this domain of life satisfaction, which we believe is quite relevant to the entrepreneurship decisions, which is job satisfaction. And here we find a negative, significant effect for the first stage, for the potential stage. In other words, I'm unsatisfied with my job. I consider becoming an entrepreneur. At the subsequent stage, here, nascent, I have an insignificant, the effect is not significant, but for new and established entrepreneurs, there is a positive significant effect, and increasing in magnitude between job satisfaction, between the level of job satisfaction and the decision of, well, the successful entrepreneurship. These are people that become new entrepreneurs, and then they move on to the established stages. Then we fit the regression with both variables to capture the, but basically in these settings, the idea is that life satisfaction captures the residual dimensions of quality of life, residuals compared to job satisfaction. And here we see that this is confirming our results. So negative, and also the magnitude of the coefficient is in line with what we have seen before. So a negative relation at the potential stage, and a positive relation and the new and established stages. Then we tried, obviously here the issue is that whether there is reverse causality. So it's either people that are successful entrepreneurs, they are more satisfied with their life, and obviously we don't have an instrument, a valid instrument in our data set, but what we have done, we have experimented with the Luxembourg method, and this is a method that generates essentially artificial instruments, and we find again this confirms our results. So negative effect on the potential stage for life satisfaction, negative effect for job satisfaction, and positive and significant effect at the new and established stages. Conclusions. So the overall results suggest that there is a negative association between subjective well-being and entrepreneurship. Subjective well-being is negatively associated with entrepreneurial extensions, but there is no association with any other stage, in any other stage of entrepreneurship with entrepreneurial success. Job satisfaction is negatively associated with entrepreneurial intention, but is positively associated with entrepreneurial success at the following stages. The results hold when the entrepreneurship outcome are regressed on both variables, subjective well-being and job satisfaction. And the plausible explanation is that different domains of life satisfaction exert different opposite effects on entrepreneurship. And robustness checks confirms this result. Okay, so I stop here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, open the floor to the questions.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible for you to distinguish the necessity entrepreneur and opportunity entrepreneur? So it means that maybe the intention, in fact, to create a firm, because I've done the same research 10 years ago, and we find that for the opportunity entrepreneur, the subjective well-being is higher because it's looking for creativity, innovation. And in this case, of course, the rate of work-life balance is going to decline, and it's much more job satisfaction. Then people are happier in this case.
Yeah, we have done that, but there is no significance in our results. And also, I think the structure of the data it's different. So it's more. I'm not really sure whether we can reproduce this type of analysis, or basically the sample size would become much.
Yes, we have done it, and the results remains similar. It's a robustness check. So, and the reason is because here we are taking this progressing. So basically, are much likely to be the opportunity-driven entrepreneurs. So, with pleasure.
Francis, you also look a little bit at the effect of innovation on. Yeah.
My point is related to yours because I was also thinking about opportunity versus necessity. I was more seeing it through the angle of education, more like are your effect the same at the bottom and the top of the education distribution? And then second point I had is like, Chiara, you showed us, the effect size of job and life satisfaction. I saw that you also had other controls. We just had the sign and the significance. So I was just wondering about the magnitude, like is the effect of well-being in this regression, how does it compare to the other variables?
Yeah, here you can see, well, maybe not sure whether you can see the effect of I think we have comparable size actually. Yeah. Yeah, this is something that on top of my head. So for example, we have fear, look at fear of failure. Here. This is a comparable size with this type of effect. So actually the size of the effect is quite education, okay. Okay. So this is really the one that is significant, is 5%, yeah. In general, what you find in this, both in descriptive, in the descriptive in GEM, is that entrepreneurship is positively, significantly associated with higher education.
Yes, thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I was thinking, did you also run other heterogeneity analysis, for instance, the same regressions in terms of economic crisis or prosperity, also for different social origin individuals? I guess that individuals from high social origin maybe have higher networks and more financial stability, so they can feel better. And also related also to the effect size. Could we expect that maybe if you use a panel data, so you could control for individual heterogeneous fixed effects, maybe the effect size will even be smaller? So do you think then that this will change? Not, I don't know, if you could.
I don't know, this is not panel, unfortunately, and so we cannot follow the same individuals over time. And so what I can tell you is that there is not much variation over time. So think about this data really as a pooled cross-sectional study. We have the years dummy. That's the only way I can control for time. That was the other question you had.
No, if you also did some heterogeneity analysis in terms of dividing by individuals that come from higher social backgrounds and in terms of economic crisis.
There, I'm afraid what you can do is that you can look at income and knowledge of entrepreneurs. That could be a proxy for somebody that has somebody here. These are people that have somebody in that they know entrepreneurs, that they have entrepreneurial networks.
The connection,
Yeah.
exactly, as well.
Connections. So this is people in higher socioeconomic status have more connections. So that's, and here, in fact, the effect is positive and significant and is quite sizable, is 23%. You see here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See
but
very well,
non
put the glasses.
l'ho messo. Qua. First generation, no. It's income group here, but it's not, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Then, if you trust.
we can accommodate one more question.
Thank you, Chiara. Very interesting. I was a bit of puzzled, or well, also triggered me on this higher education, because these lower levels of education are not associated, that I would expect as well, like, you know, like more tertiary education. No, not a second. I was wondering what kind of, could you reflect on the sectors where this entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs are, you know, busy? So what kind of sectors should we think of, or how diverse are they?
These are no, just to clarify, these are categorical. So this is, means that somebody with tertiary education has probably 5% more probability compared to somebody with
That's
lower
correct, yeah.
education. This is an important point to make.
Sure.
So this is always with reference to the base category.
I understand, yeah.
And here, what you mention is the industries. Well, I'm not sure how much weight I would put into this observation. But here what we have is that we have knowledge intensive services compared to the base category of manufacturing. And this effect is not significant. Okay. And here I suspect that the reason is that here we have a lot of heterogeneity in these entrepreneurial ventures. I mean, we have somebody which is a necessity-driven entrepreneur, which is active in personal or retail services, or people that are actually start innovative business.
Thank you.